It's the Infinite Podcast. Go tell your friends. It's the Infinite Podcast. My God, it never ends. It's the Infinite Podcast with Rob and Cork the KNULL.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Project Infinite Podcast, the podcast covering the infinite and ever-expanding multiverse of fandom. For movies, comics, TV shows, video games, we got you covered. I'm Rob. I'm here with Court. Court, we are a week away from the premiere of Agatha All Along, which is a show that, as time goes on, I've found myself getting increasingly more excited for.
Yeah, and I mean, at the beginning, I wasn't really... It's not that I wasn't looking forward to the show, I just, me and a bunch of other people kind of... It's funny, it was the same concept I had for Loki. I had it a little bit for WandaVision of the why, where's the big hitters, where's the heavy hitters, and, let the project speak for itself, and I think this project did great with that through the trailers. I think the first trailer, I kind of looked, I was like, huh. And then the second trailer, I was like, okay, first you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
Yeah, so we're going to obviously preview that by talking about a show that we did not get a chance to talk about when we launched this podcast, and that is WandaVision. I had not gone back to it since it aired, so this was a pleasure of a rewatch for me.
Yeah, it was.
It reminded me of a lot of things, and it reminded me, being able to take myself out of the WandaVision hysteria, which we have to talk about as a part of the show. Just kind of being able to sit down with it and know what's happening, and then just watch all 9 episodes in a row and not have to wait for it week to week. It was a really great rewatch.
Yeah, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised of how innovative this show is, and as innovative as it is, this show isn't overtly complicated as well too. This is a fun watch. It's something that outside looking in from the rest of the MCU post Endgame, this is in the upper echelon of innovative nature and having fun of what you're doing, but also having a lot of heart. I think this show has some of the best emotional moments in the entire MCU. There's a couple moments in here that are must talk about moments, and a compelling villain, a reveal villain that was pretty solid. And again, the reveal of the villain is much better without the hysteria of 2020 watching this show.
Yeah, 100%. And so we're going to talk about WandaVision, but first we do have some news up top. Unfortunately, we have a pair of passings that we have to discuss. John Cassady, so mostly an X-Men comic book artist, well-known comic book artist, passed away at 52 over the past of this week. These types of things kind of tend to just fly under the radar, but I think it's important for us to talk about because, comics is mostly a visual medium, so right. you don't get everything that we get from comics without the artists. And John Cassady's art, especially on his Astonishing X-Men stuff. Oh my God, yeah. And his Captain America stuff are, legendary.
I mean, legendary is the perfect way to sum it up. I mean, that X-Men run that he was working on was, nothing short of phenomenal. I mean, it was somehow this almost photorealistic, but also it was so polished, it was so refined, which I really enjoyed. It just brought a extra level of gravitas to the X-Men too. And I mean, at a time where the X-Men kind of needed a hard stop, not reboot, but a hard stop. This is post new X-Men, new writer, new artist on the book. And I mean, he just added an extra level of oomph to everything too. And I remember, I don't remember because I think I was 7 when those books were coming out. But, just from reading about stories and listening to stories about it, those books were, quote unquote delayed for a little bit, but if that's what we got out of delay it as long as you need to, because that is one of the most memorable. I mean, I told you when I reread the Astonishing X-Men, I was like, this art is just otherworldly great. Maybe one day we'll talk about that Astonishing X-Men run, because it's some of the best X-Men you can find, and that doesn't come without John Cassady.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like I said, it kind of gets lost in translation of how important the artist is to the comic book world. Comic books as a medium in general are kind of have been on the decline, obviously, since the advent of pop TV and movies and all that stuff, and people have kind of moved away with them. We talked about in the past how comics are, increasingly more inaccessible and difficult to get a hold of.
Yeah.
But, I would encourage anyone to go, I think that's also, we talked about before on the show, like how do I get into comics? Sometimes the art is the way to get into them. Like, if you find something that catches your eye, you find out who the artist is and kind of follow their path, instead of doing, a character or a team or a storyline. Like sometimes all you need is to get a hold of an artist.
Right.
And if you enjoy their work, that's also kind of a through line that you can use to get into any type of comic. So definitely encourage people to go out and try and get a hold of those Astonishing X-Men comics. Because the art is sensational. And then we lost a true titan of the acting world. Kind of crazy that we were talking last week so much about Darth Vader, and then, lo and behold, James Earl Jones passes away at the age of 93. EGOT winner, just incredible performer on the stage, on the screen, TV, movies, stage acting, you name it. James Earl Jones has done it at the utmost highest level. Obviously, has some of his most well-known work, obviously the voice of Darth Vader in the Star Wars films, Mufasa in The Lion King, both in the animated movie and the live, quote-unquote live action, the CGI remake. He came back as Mufasa. The Sandlot, Fences obviously is what he got his Tony Awards for on the stage, and just an absolute, like I said, a titan of acting.
I mean, he's one of the pillars of, that Hollywood stands upon from an acting lens. I mean, imagine your voice alone can carry throughout generations. I mean, that's astronomical what he was able to achieve. And I mean, from all accounts too, just a wonderful person on top of that. And that's something we always like to say, when anytime anybody passes away, just, we always love to look at their character and use the accounts of, what people said. I mean, they were at the premiere for Coppola's new movie yesterday or 2 days ago, and Giancarlo Esposito was talking about how much of not only a friend but a mentor he was to him and so many other people. So to lose somebody like that, I mean, that's a world shocker. Like, that was just anybody and everybody was saying, like, oh my God, like, Darth Vader or Mufasa just passed away. And, like, for you to be so synonymous with, I mean, absolutely monumentous characters like that, it's something that's incredible. So James Earl Jones, in terms of, the legacy he's left, he will always be remembered. I don't care if it's 10, 50, or 100 years from now, James Earl Jones will forever be remembered.
Yeah. I mean, you could just go on his, Wikipedia, IMDb, and just look at all the stuff he's been in. Coming to America, Field of Dreams, Sandlot. Like I said, he was really came into his own in that, late 70s through the 90s is kind of like his peak. As a performer, where he became really synonymous with a lot of things. And yeah, like you said, he had one of those voices. Like I said, I posted the Lion King clip on my Instagram, and I said his voice was like the embodiment of poetry. Like whenever he spoke, you felt every single word.
Yes.
Whether it was as Vader, Mufasa, when he also had like a commanding presence physically as a person when, in the movies that he was on screen for, like just this incredible booming voice that just it exhibited like wisdom. Like you just felt it every time he spoke. You're just like, wow, this guy has such a commanding, presence of the screen. I was, pleasantly surprised that he came back as Vader for Rogue One.
Right.
And he delivered some incredible lines in Rogue One as well.
Be careful not to choke on your aspirations, General.
It's so good. So obviously, 93 years, that's about as long a life as you could ask for. Accomplished so much in his career, and he will be dearly, dearly missed. So yeah, I mean, we have to talk about that stuff up top. So moving on to some other news, starting with some Spider-Man news that was kind of surprising.
Yeah.
So we knew that John Watts was not going to be directing any further Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. He was kind of, moving on, which, I understand. You did a trilogy, keep it moving, but Destin Daniel Cretin, who was tied to Avengers Kang Dynasty before it was reworked, will be directing this Tom Holland Spider-Man 4 film, which I think is great. You and I talk, at length about Shang-Chi and
it's one of our first episodes.
Yeah, and how much we enjoy that movie. Especially the action sequences are spectacular. We still don't know what this Spider-Man 4 movie is going to be. There seems to be a clash of ideas between Marvel and Sony.
This is how I think they're thinking about it. I think Marvel's T was get Daredevil Born Again done, and then kind of combo it how they were doing with, with Captain America 2, where it's more, for Captain America it would be more world level, but it will still be kind of gritty and grounded. I think they wanted that same approach for Spider-Man, so him and Daredevil would kind of be like him and Sam and him and Natasha in that movie, and you street level it, you have Fisk be the main villain, and then you throw another Spider-Man specific villain in there, and you can have some fun with that. And again, we talked about it when we talked about No Way Home. No Way Home is its only trilogy. It's a trilogy origin story wrapped in one, which is insane. So if you're kind of going to take that approach, I think that's Marvel's side. I think Sony's side was, you just saw the $1 billion that we just made from No Way Home. Let's do that. Why don't we just do that again? And storytelling purposes, you're like, didn't you just do all that work to make sure you got them away, to make sure Tom gets his origin so he can be where they were when they started, So, I'm not naive to not understand the capitalistic nature of wanting to make money. And again, if you put Andrew and Toby in a movie with him again, it's going to make money. And also to lend to that fact, it's going to be in the Secret War era that this movie would come out. So it's kind of credible that, it would make sense for them to do something like this. I don't know if you can pull that string again narratively and it be so bulletproof as No Way Home was. I don't know if you can do the same trick twice.
Yep, I would agree with that. But I think, we're going to talk about the Venom trailer in a second, and I think it's possible that the Spider-Man 4 ends up being a cosmic kind of deal, because we're going to talk about the Venom trailer in a second. But at the same time, though, I think Destin Daniel Cretin did a great job of balancing the grounded with the surreal in Shang-Chi. Obviously, the first 3/4, 2/3 of that movie are very grounded and kind of touched in reality. And then it obviously explodes into, the sequence at the end of the movie, which is, I think it holds up for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about how forgiving that is as like the big CGI third act, and it's just because how tight the action was and how good, Simu Liu and Tony Luang are together on screen, how good they were together. I think it's an interesting idea. I mean, we just said that and we didn't even talk about Daniel Destin Cretin himself. Like, there's a reason they picked him. And I mean, the thing I think about is how much did they want him for Kang Dynasty at the point? Like, it was to the point where it felt like he was going to get Kang Dynasty and Secret War. And we were like, if he's pulling that action and they're pulling Loveness to right on top of that too, like, we might be in for like a full, like for a treat on Battleworld. Like, this might be great. So I can see why they were like circled his name. They were like, we need to get him somewhere. If it can't be for Kang Dynasty, let's at least make sure that he's there for, let's just at least make sure he's there for something. And Spider-Man is, I mean, what a great pick.
Yeah.
Now, here's the fear that I have. Shang-Chi 2 will never happen.
It definitely doesn't feel like it. If this is, I mean, they're working on a weird timeline. Like, they could announce this and then it's not going to come out for 5 years. So
right.
Who knows? But yeah, that was definitely like one of the red flags to me, is like, oh, what does this mean for Shang-Chi too? Like, right. I just feel like, and it reminded me in watching on WandaVision, like, I wish they didn't spend so much. I mean, I understand the logistics of it, but like, spending so much time between when we're seeing these characters is just a killer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, like I said, WandaVision is a perfect example of that. Like, it felt like there was some momentum here when the show ended. And then, this is the first, speaking of Agatha All Along, this is the first time we're seeing Agatha Harkness in 5 years, like 4 or 5 years, yep. Which is crazy.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. I guess that's a perfect segue into this Venom trailer.
Yeah.
Touted as the final Venom trailer for this third movie, and they're doing it.
They're doing it. They actually listened to he wasn't in the movie, and then obviously, as so many people do, they listened to this pod right here.
We kept calling them cowards.
Yeah, we said put Noel in the movie, cowards, and then they said bet, and then guess what? Noel's in the movie. Do we know who's playing Noel? There's rumors.
There's rumors that it's Norman Reedus.
Awesome.
Which I think is cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that was like confirmed. Like, mm-hmm. I don't think any official outlets have confirmed it, but I guess people just picked up on that. That Norman Reedus will be voicing Noel. I don't think he's going to be like the villain, which kind of goes back to my Spider-Man 4 point, that I think they're going to try and take a swing at doing Spider-Man 4 as Spider-Man and Venom teaming up.
And they're going to do
against Null
and do the Venom War on top of that.
Yeah.
That would be a swing. That would be I'm talking like a monumental swing. And I mean, what you can try to do in the meantime is make sure all your defenders are in place. So you have Daredevil, Luke Cage around, because I believe I know Jessica Jones and Punisher are going to be there. So
last thing I saw about that was they want them all back.
Right. And I mean, what better avenue to get Iron Fist back than in Shang-Chi 2? Obviously, you're going to put Jessica Jones, Punisher are going to be in Daredevil, and then I don't know where Luke Cage fits into any of this.
They probably just erase season 2 and just make him Luke Cage again.
Yeah, make him Luke Cage, just a guy in New York. Maybe you don't even have to erase anything from Luke Cage, but just have him be like, that was a dumb decision.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, I said it, I retweeted on Twitter and I said, I love this stupid dumb trilogy.
It's just because they know exactly what they're doing, and I think the first one they were finding it, and then the second one was like, oh yeah, we know who we are, like we know what we're doing. We're not. We understand that this is kind of dumb, but we're gonna have some fun.
And then this one, they're just like, yeah, I mean, it's exactly what we said. Like, if you're gonna keep making these increasingly ridiculous, just put Null in it, and they're like, all right,
right,
we're gonna do it. So,
insane swing.
Yeah, so I'm, that's kind of exciting.
Enough, yep.
Are we being baited into the idea that Null will probably be like at the end of the movie and like, or maybe even like in a post-credit scene? Probably. Like, I think that's entirely possible, but Venom does talk about it in the trailer that my creator is coming for us. So maybe Null will be a bigger part of the movie, but I don't think he'll be like dealt with by the end of it.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm just trying to think who else you get, unless for this multiversal thing you know what they can do if I don't want this. Like, if I want to just be on record, like, I'd rather you can mix two you can mix a Spider-Man and a Daredevil story. Like, you do Devil's Reign and you mix it with, what can you mix it with for Spider-Man? I mean, you can kind of have Devil's Reign, but remix it as Spider-Man as the main character with Daredevil. You know what I mean? And that just be Spider-Man 4. It'll help you for Daredevil Born Again. It'll help Spider-Man's case in the MCU. And then worry about the multiverse stuff when you get to Secret Wars. And you get to Doomsday. Like, don't worry about that right now. What I think they're going to do is if they want to make this money, you're gonna do Spider-Verse in the fourth one, and you're gonna instead of it be like the Avengers and all the teams fighting Null, you're gonna do Spider-Verse, and you're gonna mix Venom War and Spider-Verse into one story. That's what you could do for a fourth movie. That gets you Tom, Andrew, and Toby back together. That gets you, what you can do is you can supersede a live-action Miles Morales and put him in the movie, but still have that be a different dimension version. So by the time that actor gets into the MCU, he can just have a fresh start once he gets into the MCU. And
it gives you the Spider-Man Venom stuff, which I think people have been clamoring for the last 4 years.
Yep, get you a bunch of Spider-Man. It gets you different versions of all the Spider-Man, a couple of different versions of Venom, like... You can have fun with it. You have them fight Null. It's a big New York City thing that goes down in there. I just hope it's not too many cooks in the kitchen when they do something. Like, that's my fear of, like... Yeah. Because I know they would say yes. Everybody would say yes. You I said, oh, you know who would be great to be the live-action Miles Morales? The kid from Cobra Kai that plays Kenny. Mm-hmm. He already has the fighting prowess for it. I feel like he would be... I think he's younger too. I think he's either he's 17 or 18, something like that. Like, he's perfect age range for it. Like, that would be a good pick as well. So, I don't know. I'm real hesitant on them on this,
Of course.
Doing the same, like, you can have a really cool, contained, like, Spider-Man and Daredevil versus Fisk type movie. Throw a couple other of the Defenders in there. Just, have this be a Spider-Man story. Have him meet Gwen Stacy. Have him meet Harry. Like, have some fun, but does not seem like the route they want to go on Sony's end. I have a feeling this is a Sony thing.
Of course, yeah. It's always going to be. And then the last bit of news we talked last week about some Green Lantern potential casting. We have now learned that both Josh Brolin and Matthew McConaughey have taken their names out of the running.
I don't think Ewan McGregor's going to do it either.
No, probably not.
There's one person you give the call to, I think, and his name has been around Green Lantern for probably the last 15 years. It's Chris Pine. I feel like at this point in his career, he's become so chiseled as an actor, but he also knows how to have a lot of fun with whatever project. He's very adaptive to whatever the project commands, but he also I mean, people forget Chris Pine was, I mean, one of the absolute top dogs in Hollywood for years. Like, when I was a kid, I mean, after the Star Trek trilogy, like, he was, like, one of the mainstays, the Wonder Woman movies. Like, he was a must-have in Hollywood. Like, you get an older version. If you want to do that older version, why not get the guy that people were clamoring to play Hal Jordan in the first place? And then, again, you throw... You really sold me on that John Boyega pick from last week, too. Like, Chris Pine and John Boyega as Hal and John, and like a true detective setting, unraveling like a not a universal conspiracy would be all types of sick. Yeah,
I totally agree. I think Chris Pine that's a great pick. And I think he's at a point in his career where he would do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's doing, he's just been doing things. Like, he did that Dungeons and Dragons movie. He's just been doing stuff.
Right.
So I feel like he would throw his hat back into like a DC thing. Mm-hmm. Obviously he was in Wonder Woman, but I think he could absolutely be Hal Jordan. I think that totally works. Short of that, let's talk about WandaVision.
Yeah. Let's talk some preliminaries and some prerequisites.
Yeah, some backstory on this show. So obviously this was the advent of Disney Plus.
One of the flagships.
Yeah. It was one of the advents of Marvel Studios being like, hey, we got Disney Plus coming, and we're gonna do basically Marvel shows, like these 8-episode miniseries based around these characters that you know and love, yada yada. And I think they set a certain level of expectation. Mm-hmm. We as fans had certain levels of expectation that these are gonna be like monumental like events, that like these can't miss things. And then they shuffled some things around, obviously with the pandemic, so that WandaVision was going to be the first, and it was always the one that people had the most kind of skepticism and questions about, because it was like that original core of Disney Plus announcements. Right. WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, Hawkeye were all kind of, because funny enough, Avengers Endgame has that end sequence that basically sets up all these shows.
Yeah. Yep.
They spend a lot of the last probably like 20-25 minutes of the movie doing these isolated scenes with Hawkeye, with Bucky and Sam getting the shield.
Right. Loki earlier in the movie gets the Tesseract.
Yep, and absconds. You're like, okay, that's like the setup for the Loki show. Right. And then Wanda gets obviously her big comeback at the end of Avengers Endgame that sets all these shows up.
Right.
And then so WandaVision, they were like, okay, like it's gonna be like a sitcom homage, and we're like, okay, right, that's interesting.
Yep.
They bring on Jack Schaefer, who was working on Black Widow at the time, to be kind of like the showrunner / one of the lead writers.
Right.
She has since moved on to be the showrunner for Agatha All Along. Right. So she's continuing her work with Marvel. And they bring on Matt Shakman. He directs all 9 episodes of this show. And he has since gone on to be the director of Fantastic Four. And man, I watched the show again, and I'm like, that makes total sense.
It's the mystique that's gone around the 2020 area when this show was coming out. Now that mystique is gone, this is just a dang good show. It was such a fun, great, intricate rewatch that I had doing this too, and I found myself so glued to this as well too. And again, just watching these one after another, I was like, I'm seriously glued and intrigued to everything that's going on. And I mean, Shackman's direction is so... It's tight, especially when you're going to go... I hate to use the word gimmick, but when you're going to go gimmick for doing the sitcom, you have to have it dialed. You have to leave room for, like, that it doesn't feel like it's just the sitcoms that you're running through. Like, you have to still add the little disconnected universe sprinkle on top of it, too, because if you don't, then you're going to lose people of, like, the why. Like, why am I here? And this show has such an ominous nature on top of it, too. That's what really sells it.
Right from the first episode. Yep. The first episode does it, and I think,
Ooh, his camera moving, I have to talk about that. Continue, I gotta talk about that.
No, yeah, going back to all this stuff of, like, not knowing really what to expect or who to expect, out of all the Disney Plus shows, I think the show does the best job of integrating, like, the known universe characters into it. When you talk about Jimmy Woo and Darcy.
Yeah.
I think out of every show that's tried to integrate like previous characters, like this one felt the most well integrated, where you're like, oh yeah, it kind of makes sense that these two characters are there and would be kind of together. Like that was always like kind of what I always wanted from these Disney Plus shows.
Yeah,
like if you're gonna throw, if you're gonna throw X random character into the show, like it should feel like a natural kind of like meeting point of like why, why is Jimmy Woo here? Oh, well, he's an FBI agent investigating missing persons.
Right.
They bring in Darcy for the astrophysics nature of it. You're like, yeah, this makes sense. So I thought,
it felt very comic booky.
Yes.
Like when characters just show up and you're like, well, that makes sense that this character, like this B or C character standing in front of me right now.
Yeah, instead of just like, hey, here's this character. You know what I mean? I think this show did probably the best job of it, which was cool. And then, this... We'll talk about it as we kind of go through the episodes, but like, man, the groundswell of theorizing and analyzation that went into this show went to a level that I don't think even they expected.
Guilty times a million. Boy, I wish we would have had that podcast week in, week out. Watching this show, because guilty on the Reed Richards, guilty on the Mephisto, I was locked in week in, week out. But again, this show had power to it. This show had, it's kind of an allegory for Wanda herself. Like this show had some hidden power to it. Like week in, week out, in the middle of the pandemic, like everybody was home. Like, oh boy, week in, everybody was glued. Everybody had theories. Like this show probably credits a lot of these breakdown channels for like millions of subscribers.
And it goes, kind of goes to the point of the writing and the direction where like even the first 3 episodes, which are like the sitcom episodes essentially, do these little things that kind of set you up for like, what is going on here? Like,
yeah, because what's great is what Shackman does is like let's just take the first episode, for example, because there's a little switch. You have your 50s sitcom nature to it. It's going good. And then it's when Vision's boss starts choking on his food. And then that's that camera switch. The lighting switches a little bit. And you're like, it's almost in a weird way as if you feel like you're also there. Like your sentience also kicked up just as Wanda's kicked up for a second of like, wait, something's not right. Like something overtly is not right. It's like I said, the ominous nature of this show is one of the biggest driving forces for it.
Yeah, that's designed to be like the kind of plot point of the first episode that makes you think like something's wrong here. And it's when, Debbie Jo Rupp's character is repeatedly going, she first it starts on like a jovial, like joking, like stop it, but then she gets increasingly more serious. And then, with the hindsight of knowing what happens in the show, like you realize that she's saying stop it to Wanda, right? Because Wanda has trapped all these people in this, in this place. So that's something like seeing that again, like I didn't, obviously you wouldn't pick up on, watching it the first time or not knowing, but like with the hindsight of like what unfolds, like you realize like the seeds were planted very early. I texted you like the second episode when they do the magic show, like the episode is surrounded, by a literal mystery box. Right. Is like their big final trick is a literal mystery box. Right. So like the show, it puts it out there for you that like, we want you to kind of speculate. And obviously, I don't think they expected that level. The Mephisto stuff, I think, made a lot of sense. Right. And I think, it's very easy to pick Catherine Hahn's character as kind of nefarious, like from the get-go. Right.
But not overtly the main villain of this. I think I feel like that was probably their point of they wanted it to feel like there was something bigger at play. She was just a vessel for whatever the biggest bad there was. And the best part about the show and one of the best themes there's Wanda was the biggest bad out of everybody. There is no villain to this show. Like obviously Agatha has personal gain that she wants, but she even says in the last episode, she's just like, I'm not doing this to anybody. I just cut their strings. Like I didn't do this. You're doing this to them. And if you're the hero, you say, let him go. You can let him go right now if you want to, but you're not going to let him go. So.
Because you're grieving.
That
is the, what is the central theme of this entire show is this is a show about Wanda processing her grief. Which is, tonally, like, just not an insane swing to take for a Marvel property, but, like, this was one of the most introspective projects they've ever done.
Yeah, I mean, this one really started I said it, the big theme of Phase 4, it was legacy and loss. So, I mean, you want to talk about a project that has both is Black Panther Wakanda Forever has both. It has legacy and loss. This project has loss. Like, that was the big piece of it. And then it's such a great way to follow up Endgame, because it is, like, we did lose all these characters, and it's not like we lost, some of the characters. Like, we didn't lose Hawkeye, Hulk, we didn't lose Thor, but it was like, it's never going to be there again. That's why it's so funny thinking about the end of Deadpool 3, like the sizzle reel from Fox looking outside in, like, we're never going to have that again. Because we might have something different. We might have something equally as cool. Who knows? But we're never going to have that again. You know what I mean? Like that nostalgic feel of like, these are our Avengers. You know what I mean? We'll never have that. So it is a little bit of a loss that way, but there's legacy that comes with loss. It's like, what's next? And, this project, like I said, this is based on loss. Like, how much loss can a person take before they take some control over it? And Wanda, unfortunately, we talked about tragic characters in the MCU, like, her and Thor have seen the most loss out of anybody. Like, they have never... I mean, Wanda lost her parents, then she lost her brother, then she loses her sons and the love of her life, and her country on top of that. Like, how much does she need to suffer?
Yeah, and I think that's, like, the perfect through line. And, I mean, we can just kind of talk about the show, but I guess we could just blanket over the first 3 episodes just in a bunch, because these are obviously the sitcom episodes, which, I mean, just from a technical standpoint, they nailed the aesthetic of all these eras of sitcoms. I mean, I think that kind of goes lost, in the praise of this show, is like, they had to nail this, right? Like, they had to nail this. Like, if they're going to do the sitcom homage stuff, like, they have to nail it.
Yep.
And they did.
Right.
They did.
What's your favorite out of these 3?
I think it's the first one still.
First one's tight. It's
like,
really
as far as just, like, the sitcom elements itself, you can tell Elizabeth Olsen is right at home doing this stuff. Yeah. With the sitcom stuff. Like, she crushes all of these first 3 episodes in playing those variety, of type of kind of like the homage to, like, Lucy and Bewitched. Like, she's nailing just the mannerisms and the everything.
And I'll double down on that point, and it's, I'll spoil when we tell our favorites of this whole season. I mean, I think it's crazy, and this is going to sound insane. The best performance, in my opinion, was Paul Bettany. I mean, you want to talk about so quick, too. Like, I think his quickness to whatever, and his quickness and his adaptive nature is great. And I mean, even when he finds out that this isn't real, his cell to love is still there. It's still apparent. So I think he is absolutely phenomenal. And like I said, he's quick. His humor is quick.
The yakety yak sequence still makes me laugh, right? Because he just breaks it out,
right? He's phenomenal.
Just like, oh, this is great.
And he's somebody that demands presence. I don't know if it's his voice, I don't know if it's his mannerisms, but he's phenomenal this whole series. And I mean, the first 3, I think it's when he's quite at his best.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's brilliant. Like, just the way that, like you said, technically how the show is set up. They used a real studio audience too. Yeah. For these first 3 episodes with the sitcom homages, setting it, making it black and white, obviously, pays dividends when they bleed the color into certain moments, which was also really great, with the drone, and when what's her name, Dottie, when she cuts her hand, right, and the blood is red in color, right, great. Yep. It's all really great. The commercials. Oh, phenomenal.
I guess I don't know if I want to talk as one of the new categories is favorite theory that surrounds the project. So maybe, I don't know if you want to wait or talk about it now.
We can talk about it now.
That's okay. Because my favorite theory, because I was going to ask you when we do our categories, what's your favorite theory that came from this show? My favorite one, weirdly enough, is that the 2 characters from all the commercials were her actual parents. That's why they kept showing up in all of the commercials, is because that's how she remembers them.
I didn't even put that together. I was so focused on
especially the woman that would have, if this theory was right, would have played her mother. There was just some eerie similarity to her that I just couldn't explain.
I was so focused on the branding,
right,
and how it tethered to her grief
Mm-hmm.
again. Like the first episode has the Stark Industries toaster,
Right.
which obviously those are the missiles that killed her family. The Strucker watches, which were obviously because she was, the Strucker watch plus the Hydra soap bath powder, invokes, her captivity in Hydra. There was the Lagos paper towels, which obviously is another source of her grief, was the incident in Lagos in Civil War. Then there was the Yo Magic yogurt, which as the show goes on, you realize that, like, there's certain things starting to bleed into the stuff. It's like the Yo Magic thing, I took that as, like, Agatha's mission. Like, because she's, the first time we see her in the flashback, like, she's siphoning the magic from the rest of these witches.
That's interesting.
And then that's ultimately what she's trying to do with Wanda is siphon the chaos magic.
I took that a little bit more as for the Yo Magic stuff. I took it a little bit more as, like, the fact that she just thought that she just was affected by the Mind Stone, not that the fact that she actually was a witch. So, like, the more that she went on throughout the season, and, like, that bleeds right into 7 and 8, especially once you get to 8, you realize, like, no, you're actually a witch. You're not just, like, that's why Pietro got, like, physical, you still got physical power, but you still would have been a witch without the telekinesis and the telepathy. You still would have been a witch on top of that.
Yeah. And then the Nexus antidepressants, like that.
That might have been the best swing, the best retro. I don't know if it was a retroactive swing that they just incorporated. I don't know if maybe Feige knew all along that they were going to use anchor beings. I don't know. But, they say, I remember I texted you immediately. I was like, did they just say the word anchor in there when they talked about it? It still lends to the fact that Wanda could still be the anchor being for the 616.
Yeah. The show watching the show again just reminded me, like, just like, obviously we talk about, like, Loki, like, being, like, a main character, but, like, this reminded me of, like, she's the most, dimensional character that they still have.
Right.
In their chamber, like,
right.
And she's got such a presence and such just everything about her is so, like, magnetic, especially when she, at the end, when she comes into her own as the Scarlet Witch and she gets the outfit, you're like, this is the main character. Like, she's everything that you can want in a main character for, like, a universe, which kind of goes back to my point about, like, them spending so much time keeping these characters off the screen, which again I understand logistically, but, like, man, if they could have struck while the iron was hot and kind of gotten Multiverse of Madness, like, cooking, like, after this.
Well, did you see what the plot for Multiverse of Madness was supposed to be? That it was supposed to be more of, like, a, Wanda wasn't supposed to be so overtly a bad guy, but, Strange and her would have been together in her grief, and, they would have fought Nightmare in this movie, with Scott Derrickson. I mean, we talked about how we think that movie is underrated, and the biggest sin on that movie is the multiversal, like, the multiversal MCU things, or the multiversal, like, MCM things, like, the actual Sam Raimi directed, things in that movie we think are the best parts of that movie. But I would have still loved to see, especially there's like a subtleness to the first Doctor Strange movie I really appreciate. There's I don't know if hominess is the word I'm looking for, but there's something familiar about that first Doctor Strange movie. It's a little bit more intimate in my opinion. So I would have loved to see what Derrickson, in his own corner of horror, which he's known for, get a swing with Nightmare, with Wanda from a little bit more of, like, a heroic perspective that could have been influenced. I still would have liked to see that. Yeah,
me too. And then obviously, like we talked about in these first 3 episodes, there's these little things that let you know, obviously, with Mr. Hart choking. The second episode has the beekeeper coming out of the manhole.
It has the drone, or it has the little helicopter toy that's in color.
Yeah, the drone and the voice on the radio, which we obviously find out is Jimmy Woo's character when we do that perspective flip in episode 4. But episode 2 is the one with the beekeeper, when Wanda, you see that she is in control of this. Right. When she rewinds, the sequence to make it so that they don't go outside and see the beekeeper.
And then episode 3 is where it really starts to...
The wall comes down.
That's my favorite of these 3, because it gets real ominous from episode 3. It gets really weird. It gets really spooky.
Yeah, Herb cutting through a wall.
Yep. It's just like the stork that's there and just keeps popping up. I mean, the theories that were just running around that itself, like... That episode did a really good job of cutting the music out at really good points to be like, what the heck is going on?
We get the twins.
Yep.
Showing up. We get obviously we get Monica properly introduced as, she's Geraldine at the time, but Wanda picks her out when Geraldine says, your brother was killed by Ultron, and you're like, huh?
What?
You're like, wait a second here. And then Wanda does the same thing. She's like, what did you say?
Oh, and then, I mean, another bit, you get the Vision jump scare where dead Vision shows up. You're like, what? Then she looks for a second, and then Vision starts to piece together that something's not right. And
one of the most compelling parts of the entire show.
And then everybody on planet Earth was like, did my Disney Plus just freeze? Did this just restart? And then it's like, no, like, she just rewrote that piece of the episode to get him happy again about just having twins. Not that something is very, very off.
Yep. And then Monica gets blasted through the wall, and you're like, oh, okay. Like,
this is a Marvel project.
Yeah. But again, like, to my point about like the show, the show also does a great job of introducing something new in the form of Monica Rambeau. Like, I think the way she's introduced in the show and the way they weave in those Captain Marvel elements are not overdone, and I think they're handled just right to the point where you're like there's more here with this character, and we're going to explore that another time. And again, unfortunately, it just took way too long to see Monica again, to the point like she shows up in the Marvels, and I'm like, cool, like, thank you, like, Monica's back, like, awesome, this is great, but like it had just been way too long. Like, I wish we could have gotten Captain Marvel 2 a little bit sooner. Again,
probably in 2022 is when we should have got that movie. Because
and then we go to episode 4 where we get the, basically like the backdrop episode of like, here's what's happening outside of Westview. And it's
like previously on the MCU.
Yeah. I think the episode's literally called We Interrupt the Program. Right. So like, and we get Monica returning from the snap, and
what an opening.
It's still it's the best iteration of post snap returning trauma that I think the MCU's ever done. Right. Like No Way Home does it, and it's not handled.
No, well, it's for comedic purposes.
Yeah. Whereas like this, you're like, and I think setting it in a hospital.
Yeah. Yep. It's the best place to put it, because it's like, what the heck is going on? Like, is this real? Like, am I dreaming? Like, is this a real thing that's going on? And she's like asking people. He's like, no, I got to call my wife. Do you have a phone? I got to call my wife. Like, and then because it's the Craig Mazin theory, when you have your character and you already kicked them down, push them down the stairs one last time just to really drive it home, because she comes back and everything's awry, and then she's just like, okay, well, where's my mom? And, she finally finds the nurse that was or the doctor that was taking care of her mom, and she says, your mom died 3 years ago. And she's just like, no, I was just in there. It's like, no, you've been gone for 5 years. Like, your mom died 3 years ago.
And it's that through line that, that WandaVision had, that No Way Home had, that Black Widow had with Yelena. Like, they did not think they were gone long. Right. Like, I think even Spider-Man says that he felt like he was gone for like 20 minutes or whatever he says in Endgame. Like, that's how you, like, that puts the snap in perspective, like that little line where Monica's like, no, I just nodded out for like 20 minutes. Like, no.
No,
like,
you were gone for 5 years.
Like, Black Widow does a really nice job of it with Yelena. Like, they do it really quick, where she gets snapped in the bathroom and then immediately returns.
Oh, and Hawkeye, right. Yep.
Oh, yeah, and Hawkeye. Right. I don't know why I thought it was in Black Widow, but and they show that, and you're like, Jesus Christ. Like, and this does a really nice job of it with Monica, and it's really, really like that. Like you said, it's like that double gut punch. Right. Like, she got snapped, lost 5 years of her life, and then she finds out her mom died on top of it. Right. It's crazy. And then she shows up at the sword base. We're introduced to Tyler Hayward. Just a proper
jerk.
Yeah. Just a proper government overreach asshole.
That's the worst.
That this show needed. Right. Especially when you get to like the Vision kind of plot point.
You know what's funny, and I think that his character is supposed to serve purpose more for Vision than Wanda. It's humanity. Like, look how much this android has more humanity than this actual human being has this lack of humanity.
And it has like it ties back to a bunch of Age of Ultron stuff as it relates to the Vision. Some of the Civil War stuff with him, where he's kind of except for Wanda, like even the Avengers and even Tony kind of just saw him as a weapon. Yep. Like when he blasts, when he accidentally blasts Rhodes out of the sky in Civil War, Tony's like, what was that? Like, I didn't think you could, when Vision goes, I got distracted. Tony goes, I didn't think you could get distracted. Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? So I think, Wanda was really the only, it's their relationship is amazing because like they really, even though she was human and he was an android, they both saw each other as human,
right,
and didn't see each other as monsters. They didn't see each other,
and that's the piece. Yeah. It's that they did not see each other as who man made them to be. They did not see each other as that.
And I think Hayward is just a great through line of that, where
right.
you know, we get later on in I think it's episode
even his acting I think is purposely kind of robotic. Like it's almost purposely like very like, you know, I will make sure that we get the vision so I can get credit for this because this is what my programming is in my head. Yeah.
And then he sends her on this, you know, missing persons case to Westview. We're introduced to Jimmy Woo again, which I said was great. He's excellently deployed in this show. Darcy comes back into the fold, and I'm just like, this is perfect. Like, as far as like tonally bringing characters in that we've seen before.
Well, it's your B plot. Your B plot is fun because you have Monica, Jimmy, and Darcy all together, kind of, you know, trying to unravel the mystery of what is Westview, and then it's great. It's three great fronts because it's like a person who's coming into their own as their hero themselves. It's a scientific view, and then it's like a, you know, like a protection view from like a you know, from an officer standpoint.
Yep. Darcy figures it out. She figures out that the sitcom is happening inside of Westview. Mm-hmm. Monica goes in, and then we get caught up to speed. She's thrown through the wall.
And also it does a good job of slowly bringing about what the Scarlet Witch is and like how powerful Wanda, and that's a big part of the show is like how powerful Wanda, because they all keep saying it like, because I don't know if somebody did like an Avengers breakdown, like maybe the Avengers released a video in like 2018, like this is your squad. Like, it's
I thought that too.
It's like a pre-NFL team, like first look at the team for this season, like. Because apparently everybody knows, like, Vision, and, like, they know their power levels, like, they know what they get to, and then...
Well, Jimmy even says at one point, like, or one of them says, Jimmy or Darcy says, like, Scarlet Witch almost killed Thanos, like, by herself. I'm like, how do you know that?
How do you know that? Like, I'm telling you, they released...
Until Captain Marvel showed up, and right? I'm like, what was this, like, broadcast, like, on Fox?
It might have been. Who knows?
Was Joe Buck and Troy Aikman there?
Come on, man.
Calling the action?
We had an NBC night game of the Battle of New York. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, how does everyone know what happened in that final battle? But yeah, and originally they think that Wanda's kind of, you know, being victimized by some nefarious force.
Because why would an Avenger do any of this?
Yeah. And then, so episode 4, I think episode 4, as far as like those episodes, you know, those episodes that like bring the action to like a screeching halt to like show the other side. Mm-hmm. Like I think this does it the best, and it doesn't feel as intrusive as some other shows.
It's almost like the 9-episode structure helped it a little bit.
Yeah. And then that paves the way basically for episode 5. You know, the twins are born.
Get to the 80s.
We get a lot more. I think I wrote it in my notes. We get, this is the first time we see Agatha or Agnes in the main credits, quote unquote, of the show.
She's imposing her will a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which again, I didn't catch that on the first rewatch, but knowing what happens makes sense. We get to like episode 5, and all of a sudden this guest character of the sitcom has now made her way into the main credits. Mm-hmm. Like that's red flag. Yep. Like that should show you something. Like, why is she important all of a sudden in this lens that supposedly Wanda's in control of? We get the dog. The dog shows up. We get Vision getting an email from Darcy,
right?
Saying about the Maximov anomaly, and he's like, "What is that?" That's when he unlocks Norm.
Yep.
For like 2 seconds, and he's like, "Ah!"
Yeah, he's like, "Help, please, anything, help me."
She's the worst.
She's the worst. She stinks. She's hurting everybody.
And Vision's like, all right,
turn it off. I'll help you, but relax, brother.
And then we get they send the drone in. Mm-hmm. Dun dun dun. And then Hayward and his, like, they got Wanda, because they send in basically an 80s drone, because they figure out that the hex, excuse me, the hex changes anything that goes through it to match the era that Wanda's creating. So they figure out if we send in an 80s drone, she won't catch it, basically, because it's like a blind spot. We send in an 80s drone, it belongs there. Mm-hmm. She sees it, it's off screen, quote unquote, off screen. And then Hayward does his best Quaritch, fire. Right. Monica's like, huh? Like, you arm that thing with actual missiles, and he's like, we got to take her out. Right. She sucks. And I'm like,
and this is where Shackman's direction is so insane, because it's like just the perspective shots that you're getting, you see, and it's how quickly it weaves in between the actual sitcom and actual, you know, warped reality is just, it's impeccable.
Yeah. Fire. The fire happens off screen, and then we get womp, 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 breach anomaly. You're like, oh no. Pave way to one of the most she's her scenes. The drone comes flying through the force field. Wanda's in her Scarlet Witch, her original Scarlet Witch get up, the red trench coat. The Sokovian accent comes back, which I think is a brilliant, I don't know if it's a directing choice or if it's a Elizabeth Olsen choice.
No, it has to be this had to have been pre-planned, and the only reason I say that is because
they talk about it.
Because Agatha, episode 8 is brilliant, but Agatha talks about it in episode 8. It's like, oh, there's the accent again.
Yeah, it comes and goes. I think Quicksilver confronts her on it too, and she goes, "What happened to your accent?" He goes, "What happened to yours?"
Yep.
So she brings back the Sokovian accent. This is your final warning, and you're like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah,
like, is she the villain or is she being made to be the villain? It's like, the question you have to ask yourself. Right. And because she says he's like, "You're holding a whole town hostage." She's like, "I'm not the one with the guns, director. Right. Like, I'm just trying. Leave me alone." Right. Hayward's like, "I can't do that." Monica's like, and she says to Wanda, like, if you wanted to hurt me, you would have. And Wanda's like, shut up.
Yeah. We're not friends. Let's not do this.
Be quiet. She turns all the guns on Hayward, and then she just goes back into Westview. Yep. And Vision's like, what is going on? And Wanda's like, none of your business.
Yeah, none of your business. Roll the credits. And Vision's like, wait. One of the coolest moments in this whole show.
I love that moment.
She's like, nah, roll the credits. You're not going to think about this. Vision's like, no, you can't control me. I'm going to think about this.
And then she goes, can't I? And you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah. Rewind a little bit in the episode, Vision has been at the office and the boys, dude, what's incredible about the show? It's reflecting how the world started to change through sitcoms. So, like, what, was allowed in sitcoms as well. Like, family drama like that was not in sitcoms before. Yes. And then as it starts to unravel, once you get to the Malcolm in the Middle and the Modern Family inspired sitcoms, it's like family drama was one of the pillars for why these shows were working so much.
And I love, going back to like Vision's workplace, like I love even like that first episode, Vision's like, what do we
do here?
And they're like, we just do numbers. Yeah, and he's like, what do you mean?
Yeah, we crunch the numbers and, we do.
But crunch the numbers for what? And he's like,
Yeah, the numbers. Stuff. Yeah, for things.
Because, like, and we see it in the Halloween episode, like, Wanda's reach, even though she's immensely powerful, only goes so far. To, like, the people on the outskirts of town are just, like, droning away.
They're like zombies, yeah.
And you're like, ooh, that's not good.
Right.
But yeah, you get this great confrontation between Vision and Wanda, great acting on both sides.
Right.
Like, she's, whoa! Watered down. And he goes, what is outside? Like, and he says, like, I'm scared.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember my life before Westview.
Right.
Like, and I'm scared. And she's like, shut up.
Yeah. Roll the credits. We're on to the next. We have Malcolm in the Middle next week. Relax.
And he basically, they're both raring up, like rocking up. You think you're gonna get like a proper like fight here.
Right.
Then there's a knock on the doorbell, and Wanda's like, I didn't do that. Like, and Vision's like, sure you didn't. And Wanda's like, whatever. Like, you don't believe me. Like, it's fine. She opens the door and it's Quicksilver. It's Evan Peters as Quicksilver. What? Big cheers.
It's Uncle Jesse.
Yeah, I love a lot of things about the show. I still don't like the Quicksilver bait and switch, making him like a loser.
Yeah. You should have just done it. You should have just had him be, and what it would have also done is help this whole ramp into the multiverse too. If it was that Quicksilver from, like, if she was so powerful where she got the consciousness from another universe's Quicksilver, and or the body of another, like,
yeah, and you could have done that, and then you could have just had it be Agatha got her hooks in him,
right,
and just had him still be Quicksilver, but like Agatha got instead of passing it off as like a joke. Like, I still don't. That's still one of my least favorite parts about it. Like, I think you could have just made him Quicksilver,
right,
and still done all the same stuff, but just made him Quicksilver and made him, he got there, and then Agatha got her hooks in him and manipulated him.
Right,
you could have just done that.
And again, to my point, like, show how powerful she is that she was able to get into the multiverse to pull another version of accidentally pull the Fox version of Quicksilver over. That's how powerful and how range.
Because that's like the through line too, is like she kind of accidentally did all this and then harnessed it.
Right.
Like, you see the episode 8 explosion of her grief when she arrives at the plot that creates this, but then she harnessed it. So you could have done the same thing with Quicksilver. Like, she wanted to bring Pietro back, but she kind of messed up and brought this other version in, and then Agatha harnessed that, and took him. So, Yeah, then we get to the Halloween episode, which again, a great moment here when Vision gets out of the hex, which you're like, wow.
It's such a great contrast too to her coming out of the hex. Like it keeps going. Like we see who's in control. The more and more it goes on, like she has full out power, full out control. And then again, what the reveal is so great for is like, yes, Agatha is a villain, but there is no discernible villain here. But again, it's perspective based. Like, you know, from the story that we're watching and the sitcom that we're watching, you know, it's the big reveal that Agnes to Agatha is the villain. But from every single other person in Westview's perspective, Wanda's the villain of this. She's holding everybody hostage. And again, it's a great point. Like, this isn't what Avengers do. Like, I thought you were an Avenger.
And then the Vision comes out of the freaking hex and he's like, you gotta help the people.
Right.
Like, they're in danger or whatever. And, you know, from Hayward's perspective, he's like, see?
Right. Told you.
Like, she's the bad guy. But then, you know, the back end of the show is finding out what Hayward's role in all this is. And his role in all this is creating a new Vision.
Right.
You know, that's all. He basically needed... Because you think the conceit is Wanda took Vision's body into the hex and brought him back to life.
Right.
You find out that's not what happened. You find out she literally recreated him with her magic.
Which again...
And Hayward had the Vision the whole time.
Insane power.
Yeah, that she just built him. But then you find out that Hayward and Sword have had the Vision this entire time.
Right.
He just needed her magic, or remnants of her magic, to bring him back.
Right.
Because she created the Vision inside Westview with the remnants of the Mind Stone's power that was inside her.
Right.
That's how she created him. So Sword needed remnants of her magic to reanimate their vision.
Right.
Which they do with the drone. Like her magic is on the drone, and Hayward's like, we got him.
Right. Got him. 6 and 7 we can bottleneck into one.
Yeah,
it's Malcolm in the Middle and the Modern Family inspired one.
She expands the hex to save the Vision.
Yep.
I did like the little bit where she turns the Sword people into clowns.
Yeah.
Like that's like the meta version of how she views them.
Right.
Like turns them into a circus essentially, which was fun. And you just realize how powerful she is.
She's
like she
insane.
just at will just whoosh, expands this thing. You know what I mean? And and you get the Vision obviously getting to the outskirts of town. You get him encountering Agatha out there, and you're like, she's playing detached, but you can tell she's not actually detached.
Right.
So then again, and she's dressed as a witch.
Right.
And then we get the Modern Family episode, which is again.
Do you want to talk about the aerospace engineer?
Yeah. Oh my god. And again, like upon rewatching this, like they do kind of hang on it to make you think that it's going to be something significant.
Right. And it's just her friend.
Yeah.
Just as in the military that gets her a vehicle. But it is the inception of photon spectrum, whatever you want to call her in the MCU. She finally gets her... She goes out of the hex, which kind of unlocks the potential to get the power, and then once she...
rewrites her DNA.
Right. And then once she goes back into the hex... So is she a mutant? Is that how this works?
I mean, her DNA was altered.
Right. Same thing as Ms. Marvel. Same thing. It's just you needed a power source to unlock that DNA. So the Hex did it to her. The Bangle did it to Kamala. And I mean, that's a good piece of why. In the which stone was it? It was the Tesseract. So the Space Stone did it to Carol. So that's why the three of them could be linked. They're linked through Infinity Stones in a weird way. Yeah,
she goes in. You see the Spectrum powers kind of activate.
Yep.
She gets back inside the Hex. She's seeing everything on the spectrum.
Light spectrum. Yep.
On the light spectrum, and then she kind of like, whoa, that was weird. And then, she confronts Wanda again. Wanda's like, get lost.
Get lost.
Like, I don't want to hurt you, but I will. I will. Agatha's, watching the kids.
Right.
And they get inside her house. And Billy, who is a telepath, says to Agatha, like, it's quiet here.
Yeah. Yep. I can't hear any.
Because he can hear he's hearing voices. He's got Professor X syndrome this entire time. That's how he hears Vision dying outside the Hex. And he goes, it's quiet here. He's like, I like it here because it's quiet. And then he goes, you're quiet, Agnes. And you're like, what does that mean?
Right.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Meanwhile, at the time, he's just like, I gotta go fast.
And then Agnes, she steps in when Monica confronts Wanda because Agatha is threatened by Monica's presence there.
Right.
She's like, you've had enough. Like,
because she's a variable
yeah.
that she was not equating for.
You come back in, and she sits Wanda down, and she's like, where are my kids? And she's like, oh, they're just in the basement playing.
Relax.
Trapped in a hex in a bunch of runes, and she's like, I'm Agatha Harkness.
I'm Agatha Harkness from the Marvel comics.
Cue the song.
Yep.
Which is, it's still good.
I mean, it won an Emmy. Of course, it's incredible.
It's still good. Catherine Hahn is sensational.
Oh my god, she is one of the best things of this show.
She's like, it's me. It was me all along.
Right.
She killed the dog.
And I killed Sparky too.
She's got a great cackle.
Oh, the witch laugh. It's peak.
She has a tremendous cackle. And then we get the Agatha backstory. She was going to be burned by other witches. Or she was going to have her magic drained by other witches.
Right.
And then Agatha's like, Uno reverse card.
Right.
I'm draining your magic.
Well, that's
now.
her thing. That's her thing as a witch, is that she steals the magic from the quote unquote undeserving.
And then she basically, like, we find out like what her mission is, and it's like her mission is basically like, I want to know how you're so powerful.
Right.
Tell me how you did this. And Wanda's like, I don't know. And Agatha's like, well, mind palace.
Right.
we're going into a Professor X mind palace.
Yep.
We're going down your memories, Wanda. We're gonna figure this out.
Right.
Dang it. We go back to her childhood in Sokovia when her parents were killed. Most notably, like, her love for sitcoms, yada yada.
That episode 8 that might be my favorite episode. That episode is really, really good.
It's really good.
We finally get the origin story of the Scarlet Witch, which is awesome.
Yeah, we find out that her and Pietro were near a defective, quote unquote, missile for 2 days, and Agatha's like, 2 days, huh?
I love how much. It's not only how much Agatha knows. I just love how, if this makes sense, not coy that she's being about it. She's just like, no, there's something to you. And Wanda's like, what are you talking about? I just was a normal person, and then they experimented on me, and I got these powers. She's like, no. I've seen witches for hundreds of years. You're a witch. Like, you're a witch. You always have been. You always will be.
She's like, that missile wasn't defective for 2 days.
Right.
You cast a probability hex.
Right.
Like, I love how she's breaking down Wanda's powers in magical terms.
Right.
Like, you're not just a superhero.
Right.
You're a witch.
Right.
You're casting spells that, like, I had to spend years learning.
Right.
That I still have to do the verbal incantations to cast.
Right. You have, and she says it at the end of episode 8, like, you have magic. She said magic on autopilot. Like, that is power that's otherworldly.
Yep. We go back to the sword base, which is where we find out about the stuff about the Vision, that you find out that Hayward was lying.
Right.
Wanda didn't steal the Vision's body. She left it there.
Yep.
She was furious.
Right.
Because who wouldn't be?
Right.
Because Vision was cut up into little bits. And Hayward's like, you can see him, but I can't let you take him and bury it. Like, you're not going to bury $3 billion worth of vibranium in the ground. Like, I'm sorry, you're just not going to do that. She drives to the Westview lot that Vision had purchased for them. I don't know where Vision got the money from, but
from Tony, from his dad.
I like how
Vision's a trust fund baby.
He is.
Oh no,
I do like that the deed said the Vision on it.
Yeah. Yep.
Mr. the Vision.
Mr. the Vision.
She explodes from her grief, and it creates the hex.
What a moment.
And Agatha's like, aha. I still don't know how you're doing this.
Yeah.
You're just stupid powerful.
Well, she says, I have a theory, but I need a little bit more. And then we go to the experimentation. And then we figure out what actually happened.
The Mind Stone unlocked her Scarlet Witchiness.
Right. Because like we said, she always was a witch. And the Mind Stone just gave her, just like it gave Pietro power, it still gave her power. She finally got it unlocked. And, the witch nature with the genetic mutation of the Mind Stone, that's a potent mix. Gives me the goosebumps.
We get the Avengers compound scene with her and Vision.
Lord.
What is grief if not love persevering?
What is he cooking?
I believe, I just want to credit this. So Laura Donney wrote episode 8, so we can probably credit her with that line.
And just a phenomenal episode, in my opinion. That's one of my favorite episodes from the MCU. Yeah,
I just love those little in-between moments of, like, in between these movies, like the quiet moments with these characters where Wanda and Vision are just kind of chatting. And it's a very realistic take on someone grieving and someone, in this case, the Vision, not knowing how to console that person. where he's like, like, what do you... He doesn't really ask her, like, what she wants, but, like, she basically says, like, the only thing I want is Pietro back. And she kind of, like, snaps at him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And she just takes a moment and steps back, and she's like, I'm sorry. Like, it just... And Vision's like, I'm just gonna sit here. Like, I'm just gonna sit here and listen. Watch some sitcoms together. Like, you know what I mean? And that's kind of, like, the genesis of their love, essentially.
Right.
And then Agatha figures it out. Basically, she's like, you have chaos magic. Like,
yeah. You wouldn't be the Scarlet Witch, would you?
So she brings Wanda back. Agatha's gone. She hears her kids crying. Agatha's got them leashed up.
Mm.
She's in her full Agatha.
Yeah.
It's a great looking suit.
Right.
On Agatha here.
We got one more great looking suit to talk about.
Yep. Then we cut back to the sword base. White Vision. You're White Vision from Marvel Comics. We get to episode 9. I remember this finale being not well received. I think it's pretty good.
I still think it's still solid.
It just devolves into a big Marvel thing.
My thing too is like people were like, how dare they do this? I said, what about the other 30 MCU projects that ended the same way? Why was this the one that you got
mad at? It still ends on a really emotional...
Yeah.
Like, the tone of the show never gets lost.
Mm-hmm.
Even in this big finale.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously when she breaks the hex down and...
You know what's funny? If the finale didn't end like this, I feel like people still would have been upset.
I mean, you have to resolve it.
Right.
You have to resolve this. If you're going to put two witches against each other, something's got to give here.
Right.
Like, they got to fight.
Right. Sure.
And we get,
the ship of Theses.
Agatha's like, I'm taking your magic. I'm going to be the chaos magic wielder now. And then the Vision comes in. White Vision swoops in to attack Wanda. And she's like, Vision? And he's like, no. But yes.
Mm-hmm.
He gives her like the face squeeze.
Yep.
And you're like, ooh, ouch. And then other Vision shows up.
Mm-hmm. Don't keep my wife's name.
Other Vision shows up. So we get Wanda releases the Westview residents. She's like, a big battle's about to happen. Everybody get out.
Yeah, get out of here.
We get the Ralph Boner reveal. Still don't like it.
Yeah.
I still don't like it. And then, this is a big finale. We get, all your main players are inside the hex. The sword stuff comes to fruition.
I love that little bit where it's the four of them. It's the boys, Wanda and Vision. And it's just like, boys, we never really prepared you for this, but you've always been ready.
So we get basically the battle split on 3 fronts.
Mm-hmm.
We get Wanda and Agatha. We get the Visions. We get Monica and the children versus Sword, essentially. We get to see Monica's powers in full view. Soldiers shoot at her, and she... The bullets phase through her, and then Darcy comes in, wham!
Yeah.
Takes Hayward out.
In prison.
Yeah. And then we get the Visions. The Visions have a chat, like a couple of gents.
Yep.
They punch for a bit, and then they're like, wait!
Are you me and am I you? He's me, he says. I'm me, he says.
Wait. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, listen, let me ask you something real quick.
Are you familiar with the concept of the ship of Theseus?
He said...
And White Vision's like, of course.
White Vision said, I'm a genius, of course. Come on, man.
Of course I know the ship of Theseus.
Yeah.
And he's like, are you the ship of Theseus? And White Vision's like,
huh? Maybe I am.
Neither are the true ship. Both are the true ship. What is going on here?
And then he unlocks his mind, and then he's like, I am the Vision. And then the OG's Vision should have been like, I'm me, he says.
And he's like, may I touch your head?
Yeah. He's like, sure.
I guess.
Are we brothers?
No?
No? Maybe?
He touches his head. We get a smash. We get a super cut of the Vision's greatest hits.
Yep.
Up until the point he was obliterated.
Right.
And then the Vision's like, whoa! I am the Vision. And then he flies off.
Right.
To his own spin-off show.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
And then we get Wanda versus Agatha. They're firing magic at each other.
And Wanda's like, I learned something from you.
And then Wanda's like, Sailor Moon transformation activate.
Yeah. I'm taking you back. Mind tricks. Remember the mind tricks from Age of Ultron? They're back. Suck it.
That was great. I love that they brought that back. When she's like, whoop, I'm in your head. And you're like, oh.
And then Agatha's like, I'm also a witch. We literally just talked about that. Now you're going to remember.
And then,
She used my own trick against me. Now she's mollywopping me.
Wanda's like, wait, you forgot about the runes?
Right.
And then Wanda's like, Sailor Moon transformation powers activate. She gets the Scarlet Witch costume. It's still the best looking Scarlet Witch costume.
It's so dang good.
It's
got that little piece to look like the Mind Stone in the middle, because right around... Oh, good stuff.
Sleeveless.
Yep.
Like the cape. She's got the cape. She got the crown.
Right.
Agatha's like, oh no, bro.
Oh no, bro.
It's the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. And like the fear in her eyes, it's not that the fact that she lost, it's like you don't know what you just released upon to this world.
Yeah. She puts the runes up, and Agatha's powerless. And then Wanda's like...
Yeah.
She drops them out of the sky, and she's like, I'm not going to kill you, but I'm going to trap you in the Agnes persona, basically.
Right.
Whoop.
Yep. Give it.
And then she does it.
Right.
She saps Agatha's magic. She traps her in the Agnes persona and just leaves her in Westview.
Yep.
And then we get to the heartbreaking final scene where Wanda...
What's the problem? Why would they do this?
Where Wanda has to let them go. Her kids and the Vision, they have one final goodbye, and she breaks down the hex.
Yep.
And we get Vision and the kids, the children, they vanish. And you're like, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, this show. And then we have to set up some things. Yep. So we get Monica gets called into a theater by a Skrull.
Yeah.
You know the Skrulls from Marvel Comics. And they're like, the boss wants to see you. The boss?
The boss.
It's Nick Fury.
Yeah, it is Nick Fury.
He's up in space.
Yeah, you up in space, getting soft. And we get little errand boys down here. We're going to re-talk about Secret Invasion, but from a comedic perspective.
They send Monica up to do a Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
But she's not in Secret Invasion?
No, she's just in the Marvels.
She should have been Secret Invasion, question mark?
That would have probably been a little smarter, but who are we to say?
And then we get a post-credit scene. Guess what, Court? Your favorite book is back.
No. Why does everybody read The Darkhold? Just leave it alone. The book's no good. The book has the worst track record of being good. Who wins from reading The Darkhold?
Not Wanda.
Give me one person that won from reading The Darkhold.
Doctor Strange? Alternate Earth Doctor Strange?
But then he was murdered because he was too powerful. They were like, the Illuminati's like, we have to kill you, right? And he's like, yeah. There's no good that comes from The Darkhold.
Dream walking, you hypocrite.
Dude, you can't tell me Raimi wasn't cooking. He was cooking. Take out the multiversals, take out the Illuminati stuff from Multiverse of Madness. That movie's goated.
Wanda's reading the Darkhold.
Oh, Wanda, put it down.
She's not only is she reading the Darkhold, she's astral project reading the Darkhold.
No, it's the worst way to read it. On autopilot? No, put the Darkhold down.
She's asleep. The Scarlet Witch astral projection is reading the Darkhold.
And she's like, my boys from the multiverse, I'm coming.
Flipping pages. She's flipping pages.
Yep. She's on Wondagore Mountain. No,
she's in a cabin.
Yeah. We thought it was Wondagore Mountain at the time. That was what the theory was.
She goes there.
Yeah, she does. And brings Wong against his will.
And Wong's like, I don't want to go.
I don't want to go. She's like, you're going. Like,
that's my favorite part. One of my favorite parts of Multiverse of Madness is they get some Wondagore Mountain, and Wong's like, no way to get up there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Wanda. And Wanda's like, no.
Did you know I can fly?
She flies now?
She flies now.
She drags Wong up there. Wong's like, oh no.
No, I hate this.
But yeah, she's reading the Darkhold.
Just put it down. Put the dang Darkhold down.
We find out she's been reading it for quite a while.
Yeah.
By the time we get to Multiverse of Madness, to the point where she can just she's still creating hexes.
Yeah.
She created a nice little garden. And Doctor Strange is like, this is a nice garden, and Wanda's like, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's real. I didn't ask you if it was real or not. Ah, you got me. The stick's up.
You got me. I'm evil.
I'm the Scarlet Witch. Shoot.
Oh, man. I've been tricked.
I've been duped.
Call you Dr. Dumbass. You've been tricked. How'd you fall for the old Scarlet Witch in an apple orchard trick? Dang it.
Let's give out some awards for this show.
Well, that's WandaVision.
Good
it's
stuff.
Great. It's good. Really great.
Real good.
Like I said, Elizabeth Olsen, just brilliant. She did everything. She did the sitcom bits exceptionally well. She did Tragic Wanda incredibly well. She did Scarlet Witch Wanda incredibly well. So I mean, I'm not going to spoil anything, but she's my MVP of this whole thing. But yeah, let's do some awards.
Yeah. Let's start with saddest moment.
Oh, it's Wanda I think it's Wanda collapsing in the lot when it's just like a culmination of just everything.
It's sad. It's sad, man. I'm gonna go with when she goes to see the Vision and she gets to his corpse and she kind of pulls, or Rogue did a her from X-Men 97 where she's just like, I can't feel you. Woof.
Oh yeah, it's rough. And he's
Woof,
like in
buddy.
pieces. He's in pieces.
Yep.
And he's like in the coldest environment possible for like this type of tragic goodbye.
Yep.
That's terrible.
Best side character?
I'm gonna say Jimmy Woo.
Love me some Jimmy Woo. I'm gonna go with Monica.
Okay. Yeah. Jimmy was just well deployed.
Mm-hmm. He's also very endearing. He's just like a good fella.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the best fella. Let's do most underrated character in this show.
I think I'm gonna say Monica for that one. I think
That's fair.
Especially upon rewatch, like she feels, again, it just goes back to my point about like should have expedited some of this a little bit quicker, because like I wanted to see more of that character, and it did its job. Like WandaVision finished, and I'm like, I want to see more of her. Mm-hmm. Like I want to see what happened with her and Carol. Like I want to see that stuff.
That goes to my point about legacy. Like she was one of the legacy pieces from the show. Like she is the moving on of Captain Marvel into the new age of Maria Rambeau. She's literally the legacy of Maria Rambeau.
Yeah.
Most underrated character, Dottie, because I thought she was Clea.
Everyone thought she was Clea.
Yep.
She gave Clea vibes.
She did. She definitely
She's
did.
coming back?
No. The Mrs. Hart's coming back.
Oh, she's coming back, yeah. I think she's just going to be like an avatar for like, what's going on in Westview.
Sure. But she's also a witch.
Is she?
I think that's what they're trying to say, is that she also was a witch. She just
Not Kitty from that 70s show.
Come on, man. Most heroic moment? Vision saving Wanda, because keep my wife's name out your mouth.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Because it's hard to like say like any of the Scarlet Witchiness stuff is heroic.
I mean, I'll remix it to like the family, like their little Fantastic Four moment with the family about to fight everybody.
Yeah,
and it's such a crazy play on like the ending of She-Hulk, because it was very serendipitous how everybody was coming up at the same, like the sword agents were coming up, and then Agatha's in the sky, and then White Vision's right there, and you're like, oh shoot, oh no, bro. Yeah.
I think I did like the bit. I did like her little like trapping Agatha in the ruins, and then she does like her, like I said, her like Sailor Moon transformation,
That's fun
and becomes the Scarlet Witch. Like that's like one of the best. Like I think I might have. It's like it's a great ascension to heroism when she like just like full get up shows up, and you're like, oh,
not bad.
Is she cool now?
She's cool now. Favorite cameo? Is it the idea of the ship of Theses?
In a show that was people wanted a billion cameos. I mean, the Quicksilver one's hard to beat, even though it's undermined by the finale.
Right.
But like at the time, you're like, "Oh, what the moly! Like this is sick."
The Fox theories were going insane. It was nothing.
Is Magneto gonna show up?
Yeah, I'm in. I was subscribed to that. Best heat check performance. Catherine Hahn.
Yeah, like from the jump when she shows up in the first episode, like you're just like,
who are you, and
like,
why do I need more of you?
You're the greatest. Are you the best actor who's ever acted?
Funniest moment.
I like the yakety yak moment.
It's fun.
It still makes me laugh.
It's fun.
Take out the papers in the trash, like out of nowhere. He just and I love Wanda in the background. Like, what is he doing? Like that still makes me laugh so hard.
I'm gonna have to go with episode 6, like the Malcolm in the Middle inspiration, because like that was, out of all the sitcoms, that's the one that I was most like kin to, like I was most drawn to, because that's my nostalgia piece, is Malcolm in the Middle. So
yep.
All the stuff, all the little things Malcolm in the Middle inspired stuff that they did.
Speaking of that, it's the episode after when they do another, it's the Modern Family episode that I want to talk about, the opening credits of that, where it's just Wanda's name.
Yep.
And then Vision kind of like, WandaVision, like his name just shows up like at the end, but like every other thing it just says Wanda, which again I thought was just a great kind of hint at like who's in control of this whole thing.
Sure. Best source material callback?
Just the witchy stuff.
Just the witchy stuff.
The witchy stuff, the Darkhold. I love that
stop reading the Darkhold. Why does everybody have to open? Dude, it's called the Book of the Damned. Stop reading the Darkhold.
I haven't seen the Darkhold since Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
What hot take? Best use of the Darkhold?
I was like, oh, the Darkhold's back.
Just
Sick.
put the Darkhold down. You don't need it. Oh, this might be the best one. Best NPC? Is it Vision?
I'm gonna say I like Herb.
I'm gonna raise your herb and go Norm.
Norm's also good. This is the best media that we've ever done for this topic, because like literally the whole point is
This and The Matrix were probably the best too.
Is that they're all NPCs?
Yeah.
It's like that's like the point,
right?
You know. So I think I was like, I like her. I like what Herb was about.
Right.
When he was like, "Do you want me to do something about this,
right.
Wanda? Like, you want me to find the Vision?" I was like, "Damn, Herb's a real. He's real.
Mm-hmm. He might not have control, but he's a real one."
Yeah.
Best song?
I mean that Agatha All Along song is a certified bop.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. Best musical moment? I quite like the main theme that the theme where the Scarlet Witch descended upon Dara was insane. That was a great bit of
I also like the remix version of the Avengers.
Yeah, yep.
When they cut to that Civil War in the bedroom bit, and they kind of play like a spooky version of the Avengers theme.
Yep. Good stuff. I like that too. Favorite line, what is grief if not love persevering? There's just woof. And then we'll leave it there.
Yeah, I mean, I would struggle to come up with with another contender.
Yeah, and I mean, that is just... There's quotes and stuff where, like, the quote is good for the thing. That's just an all-time quote for just life now. What a quote for just life itself.
Whoever penned that quote, just...
phenomenal.
I was... When he said it, I was like, oh, whoa.
Jesus. And Paul Bettany on top of that, which, favorite world building or lore moment? I think it's just the inception of the Scarlet Witch. I thought was so freaking cool.
Because you've been waiting for it, right?
I think episode 8 as a whole is probably the best world building or lore moment.
It was that moment, I think, in episode 6 when they're talking about Wanda, and they're like, and Hayward's just like, she doesn't have like a nickname or like a gimmick, and that made me realize like, oh yeah, like she's never actually been called the Scarlet Witch before, and then that turns out to be the point of the whole show,
right?
Because I was like, oh yeah, she just has been Wanda Maximoff this whole time. Right. Like her ascension to becoming the Scarlet Witch. Good
stuff. Favorite shot? It's the descending of the Scarlet Witch. I think it is it's the reverse shot back to Wanda, like fully. It's almost as if she's succumbing to the Scarlet Witch, and like it's almost to like that nexus point of like it knows no bounds of time. Like it's just like, how did she see that before it was even incepted to her? Because it doesn't know time. Time isn't an element that's encompassing of it.
I quite like the episode 4, the silhouette of her right before she comes through the hex.
Yeah, that's cool stuff. It's good stuff. Not bad. Favorite performance?
Elizabeth Olsen for me.
I'm gonna go Paul Bettany. I thought he was so freaking good. So incredible.
I mean, like I said, again, like by the time the show ended, I was just like, just make her the main character of this whole thing. Like because she can carry it.
Yep. Favorite character? It's the Scarlet Witch.
It's Wanda,
it's tough not to say Wanda.
Yeah, I mean, I would, part of me wants to say, like Agatha was fun. Mm-hmm. I really like the multi-dimensional aspect of the Vision. Especially when the other Vision comes in and, like, you get to see, like, kind of, like, you get to see for, like, a brief moment the Ultron version of the Vision, basically. Mm-hmm.
What the original intention probably was to be.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not complicated. And then your favorite moment? It's tough not to beat the ending of episode 9, where she unfortunately has to let go of everything, and then Vision's so long, darling. I'm like, woof.
And then he gets like vaporized.
Yep.
And you're just like, ouch.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's that, or just, I really just enjoyed not enjoyed, but like chronicling Wanda's grief, just that whole, from her parents to the Vision to all that stuff.
Yep. And that's it. That's the...
I really enjoyed it, man. I really enjoyed it.
Such a good rewatch.
Like being removed from it, being able to consume it 9 episodes, right in a row, without having to like wait a week in between, without like the crazy theorizing. Is Magneto gonna show up? Yeah. Is Reed Richards in this? Are they going to introduce Blue Marvel?
Mephisto.
I think Blue Marvel was my favorite one.
Because it was so outlandishly ridiculous in hindsight. Out of all of them. Like, why would Blue Marvel of all the projects show up in this one? Like, what are we talking about?
He's got some ties to Spectrum, and I'm like, they're not going to... No.
They just introduced her. Why would he be here?
Yeah, What are you guys waiting for the Blue Marvel spin-off project?
Right. And again, guilty. Freaking guilty. Guilty.
Al Pacino's going to be in this?
Oh, yeah. That was the... Oh, Lord.
It was because of Paul Bettany.
Yeah, because he's the greatest actor on the show.
I've always wanted to work with this actor, and we had some scenes together, and people were like, it's Al Pacino.
Because in past interviews, I think he said his favorite actor was Al Pacino, so everybody's like, no way he's going to play Mephisto, because he already played the devil in... what movie am I thinking about? With him and Keanu Reeves? You want to rapid fire the Project Infinite Awards?
Yeah.
Glenn Powell Movie Star Award. Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah.
Easy. John David Washington Kid the Act Award. The twins. I hate that you can't do it on kid actors.
I'm going to say Tyler Hayward.
Yeah. We don't know.
Hayward's actor, like, did he play that wooden on purpose, or is he just wooden?
Yeah, I gotta agree. That's a good one. Denzel Washington, that Can't Act Award. Catherine Hahn. Yep. A24 let the director cook. Ed Shackman. They let him cook with all the, especially in the MCU, which was very, admittedly, it was very uniform to itself.
And you know how we know he cooked? He's directing the Fantastic Four.
Yep. In the are they them, she, her, or he, him award? It's
Scarlet Witch.
It's Elizabeth Olsen.
Is this yours?
Is this yours? I'm not the one with the guns. Choose right.
This is your final warning.
Cooked.
Oh, God. She's so scary.
She is scary.
And she was scary in Multiverse of Madness.
She was real scary.
She does that thing in WandaVision that she did in Multiverse of Madness, the deadpan camera stare.
I don't like it.
Like through the, I think it's when she's face to face with the drone and she kind of like looks at us. And I'm like,
I'm pulling the meme. I'm like, she looking at me?
If I was the sword director, I'm like, pull that drone, get that drone out of here.
Yeah. Get that jelly mold out of here.
That guy should have been in WandaVision.
Oh, he would have been the perfect NPC. Oh, man. I want to go back in time and make... Oh, they need to put him in every Marvel project. That's the thing they got to do. Put him in everything. He should have been in WandaVision. He would have fit right in. I can't wait for Severance Season 2 to see him again. See my boy again.
He would have fit right into WandaVision. Get that jelly mold out of here.
Fallout. Peak.
Get that rabbit out of here. Oh, that's the other thing. People thought the rabbit was going to be like Mephisto or whatever happened there. Nah.
Just a rabbit.
It's just
a tree, man. It's just a tree.
That's actually the perfect like why that represents WandaVision as a whole.
It's just a tree, man.
It's just a rabbit, man.
It's just a tree.
Agatha's just the villain. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. There's no Mephisto here.
No.
Sorry. Will we get Mephisto and Agatha all along?
Don't do this. No, don't do it. I feel what you're trying. Don't do it.
We're doing it.
Don't try it.
We're doing it again.
Don't try it.
Can't wait for the theorizing.
No.
Are we gonna talk about that next week? The first 2 episodes?
Yeah. Let's do it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
It's spooky season.
Especially rewatching this. I'm like, yeah.
And now it's a trilogy. Now it's defined as this is the second part of the trilogy.
I'm like, Catherine Hahn deserves this.
Yeah.
Like, it did feel like when they announced it, like, oh, they're just capitalizing on the song. And you're like, nah, she's actually great. As the character.
And like we said, the trailers have me more and more and more. I'm like, I actually got to see this now. Yeah. And the big, whether it's a gimmick sell or it's an actual sell to make this thing a trilogy, it at least makes sense now that this is going to be the second part and then the Vision show will be the last part, which I am very much assuming that's when Elizabeth Olsen is going to make her return.
I'm so excited. Like, again, watching this show, thinking back on Multiverse of Madness, like, anytime she shows up, it feels like a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's Age of Ultron, whether it's Civil War, whether it's Endgame when she shows back up, like, anytime that character's on the screen, like, I'm paying attention.
Right.
So, like, if she shows back up in this Vision show at the, after the Agatha show, like, I'm going to be in.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see her again. Yep. And I want to see her do stuff. I want to see her, like, the arc is working to the point where, like, she does, like, the turn at the end of Multiverse of Madness, but, like, I'm excited. I want to see her be, like, a proper hero.
Well, that's her second part, and the best part about the second movie that we always talk about, beat the living crap out of the character, and whether it be physically, mentally, or emotional, beat the living crap out of the characters.
And she's been beaten up a lot.
Right. Now it's time for her to come back.
Like, I want to see that character do some heroic shit. Yeah. And, like, show up and, like, I want to see her interact with these other characters again. Like, I want to see her... I
need her and Loki together to some capacity.
Like, I want to see, like, obviously I want to see her and Vision again and her and Agatha again, but, like, I want to see her back with, like, Sam.
Yeah, yep.
Like, I want to see her back with, like, the Avengers. Like, cause
Hawkeye specifically is the one I need to see again.
Yeah, because, like, none of them have seen her.
They know what's going on, yeah. Like, Hawkeye's probably got to be, like, where's my, like, because she was almost like borderline like his daughter surrogate until he got Kate of like, yo, where is she? Like, what happened to like this person I was like taking care
Even
of?
in Civil War, they have a great scene together when he goes to rescue her.
Yep.
And he's like, all right, like, you know, we're doing this. Like, I'm here to save you.
Right.
You know, like, yeah, I want to see her do stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited. And, you know, obviously Elizabeth Olsen brings so much to that role.
Right.
Like, I just want to see it.
Yep. That's it, man.
That's it, man. You can follow us on Twitter at Project9F_pod. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on YouTube at the Project Infinite Podcast. All the episodes are posted up on YouTube the minute they go live on all the other podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, yada, yada. You can follow us on Instagram
At the Project Infinite Pod.
And next week, we're going to talk about the first 2 episodes of Agatha All Along. I would imagine the first episode will be a lot of setup. Second episode will probably be like the launch point to the rest of the season, just because it's usually
on the road.
It's usually how this thing gets structured when they pair episodes together. They did it with X-Men 97.
Yep.
Like episode 1 was just like,
this is the X-Men. Yeah, the X-Men are cool.
Are they cool?
Yeah,
yeah, they're cool.
They're cool.
And then the second episode, the Magneto stuff, like set up like the
we're for real. Like this is for real.
Like the larger plot of the season. So it does make me think like they're somewhat confident in these in this show to pair the first 2 episodes together. That so much that it'll set things up, and hopefully the internet chills a little bit with the theorizing because relax.
Yeah,
everyone just relax.
100%.
But that's it from me, from the
careful man, careful
from the Jimmy Woo of the podcast.
Woohoo! Yeah, ooh. Shut up, Forge.
Shut up, Forge.
Third.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. That's what Agatha should have said when the Scarlet Witch came out. Oh dear.
That was actual Beast when Monica arrived in the other universe.
Oh dear. Kelsey Grammer, everybody. He's the best.
Kelsey Grammer loves playing Beast.
Dude, I'm telling you, make that whatever universe, the X-Men 97, just have it be the modern day X-Men that Monica showed up in. Monica's in an X-Men universe, and like that just got brushed under the rug.
With Maria.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
We gotta go, man.
Yeah, we do gotta go. All right, guys. We'll see you next week for the review of the first 2 episodes of Agatha All Along. Can't believe it feels like it took way too long, but also like it's already here. It's here now.
It's mid-September.
We did it.
Time doesn't exist.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be a good time. I'm ready for it. Until then, goodbye.
Peace.